Hello, everybody. This is Martha with Living the One Light. And so I'm feeling called to make a video talking primarily about the upcoming full moon in Aquarius, which is happening on August 1st. But I actually am feeling called really to drop into a little bit of a bigger, somewhat bigger view of things. I'm recording this video on Wednesday, July 19th. And so we just had the new moon in Cancer. And I'm feeling called to essentially kind of ground into the context of what I'm feeling in this moment as I'm recording this video in this really incredibly powerful, pivotal week that we're in right now as I'm recording this, and then moving into that full moon in Aquarius. And then actually, I also want to touch a little bit on the whole month of August, because the month of August is actually going to have 2 full moons and 1 new moon. So there's going to be a full moon in Aquarius at 9 degrees of Aquarius on August 1st. Then there's going to be a new moon at 23 degrees of Leo on August 16th. And then there's going to be another full moon on August 30th at 7 degrees of Pisces. And, you know, I was just briefly looking at the new moon on August 16th and then the full moon on August 30th. And each of them are just so, whoa. There's things to be said about each of them, and obviously I know I'll make videos for each of them moving forward through the month, but I am feeling called for whatever reason to give a bigger context right now, and I'm not even consciously sure why, but I'm getting told to do that, so I will, and maybe as I speak it'll become obvious, or maybe some of you will realize what's obvious about it before I realize, and you can tell me. That would be great. Yeah, so I'm feeling really strong themes around just the full moon itself that's coming up on August 1st, which is, you know, the next lunation that we have coming. And a lot of things I want to speak to about the Aquarian Leo dynamic and really beautiful things happening that I see in the chart of and the energy of that full moon. But before I do that, I also want to take a step back and just contextualize this time leading up to the full moon, which we're in right now as I'm recording this. So again, I'm recording this on Wednesday, July 19th. We just had the new moon at 24 degrees, putting my blanket on me, 24 degrees of Cancer 2 days ago, so July 17th. And also on that same day, July 17th, the nodes of the moon went retrograde. And then in this coming week, you know, the next few days, we have so many things happening. So that includes Pluto exactly squaring the nodes of the moon 3 different times. And on this coming Saturday, which is July 22nd, Venus is going retrograde at 28 degrees of Leo. And then what didn't even dawn on me when I made my last video is that actually on Sunday, the 23rd, Chiron is also going retrograde. So this week that we're in is just, you know, massively powerful. And what I'm feeling in this time, and I'm talking to a lot of you and hearing from a lot of you, is a certain level of pain, I would say. And so I want to name a couple of elements that I'm feeling in this time right now, which are, first of all, we have Pluto going retrograde in Capricorn, in the end degrees again of Capricorn, where it has been quite a lot over the last many months. And it's exactly squaring the nodes of the moon. So just that is, incredibly deep. Like I feel it like this deep pulling up, dredging up anything and everything that we're ready to get out of our systems, that we're ready to move on from in our karma, we're ready to move on from in the depths of our soul. And I was talking to some people today about how what I'm feeling is that in my own life, but I think in the collective, is this sense of that many of us have had many countless lifetimes on this planet. And like, again, I'll just speak for myself. I have a certain pattern that I've lived out in all the lifetimes I can remember, where, it's a certain pattern between the feminine and the masculine, where I was typically a feminine figure who was very powerful and appreciated for my healing abilities and things like that, but then, ostracized and treated really badly. And so that has played out in certain ways in my relationships in this lifetime between me and the masculine, again, not like horrific ways, but significant ways. And so what I've been feeling in my own life in this time is the spirit world essentially saying, okay, yes, you did that for many lifetimes, and now time to move on, like time to in whatever ways, the best you can do right now, just really let that go. Like my dad died last December, and that's really, it's catalyzed a lot of change and healing in me, and given me an opportunity really to come into a fresh, new, different relationship to the masculine, and in myself and in the world and in life. And really beautiful healing time for me, really, and challenging also. But so at the same time that we have the second element I want to name about this pain that I'm feeling in in the world, and a lot of what I'm hearing from people is, and in my own life, is it's Pluto going retrograde in Capricorn, which again is dredging up the old karmic stuff around, especially society, how we do structures of life, how we do structures of our world, how we conceive of the relationships between masculine, feminine, gender, race, all of it. So there's that. And Chiron is stationing retrograde in Aries, right? So Chiron is the wounded healer, in Aries can be very, very much related to, among other things, wounding around the masculine and sexuality and so many things, right? That's a whole conversation, which hopefully maybe I will have soon with other people and you, and and that conversation will be particularly alive as we move. The nodes have just moved into Aries and Libra, and as the North Node is transiting Aries, it's going to conjunct Chiron. I think it's early next year, so January, February-ish, I'm pretty sure, 2024. And so as the North Node of the moon is moving closer and closer to Chiron, this whole energetic about Chiron is going to be really highlighted. But Chiron stationing retrograde right now is also, I can feel it. I can feel it in myself. It feels like this pain in my heart. And I can feel it and hear it in a lot of what has been arising for a lot of you. So those two things are there kind of as this backdrop right this minute. But here's the beauty, maybe. I mean, that, anyway, so I just want to acknowledge like the difficulty of potential difficulty of those energies. Not all difficult, but Chiron also was very healing. It's not only pain, it's also about healing the pain. But I do want to acknowledge that this is a really, really intense, incredibly intense time. So if you're feeling that pain or that struggle or that whatever, just acknowledging it. Okay. So then I want to move on to, I feel like I'm skipping up because there's so many other things going on in the sky right now, but I'm going to focus on the things that I'm being really drawn to, really called to talk about, because even that is a lot. Yeah, so then we are then moving, the moon is now waxing into a full moon, which will happen on August 1st at 9 degrees of Aquarius. And let me show you that chart, because there's some super beautiful things I want to drop into about this full moon. Super, super, super beautiful. It's like the theme I'm feeling in this new moon is, this full moon is like our cosmic allies, our cosmic friends, which is actually a very Aquarian theme now that I think of it. Okay, so the full moon will be at 9 degrees of Aquarius, and super important, it will be conjunct Chariklo. Chariklo is the wife of Chiron, who will be going, will have already gone retrograde at the time of this full moon, but like I just said, is about to go retrograde on July 23rd. And so Chariklo energy, just I've talked about it before, and I posted before an interview that Heather Ensworth and Melanie Reinhart did together on Chariklo, which is an incredibly beautiful interview. If you haven't watched it, many of you know I love Melanie and I love Heather, and the two of them together for me is like such a gift, such a treat. And for them to be talking about Chariklo is so beautiful. So Chariklo energy in general, on a very basic level, is for me this presence of this healing presence. It's like the therapeutic healing holding space of just being. It's like where you don't even necessarily need to be saying anything. It's like somebody is just sitting there. Like I'll just demonstrate Chariklo energy right now, right? It's like this. It's just pure, unconditional presence and love and healing. Just like that. So Chariklo, just so beautiful. She's sitting there with she's going retrograde, and she's conjunct that full moon, and of course then opposite the sun. And so I'm feeling there are two particular energies I'm feeling in this full moon that I really want to speak to. One is Chariklo, which I just spoke to. And then another one is that I want to highlight is Varda. I haven't talked about Varda before, but I love her. And she's actually not shown on Astro Gold. I wrote to them and asked for, maybe please, can they add her? Okay, Varda is so beautiful. Varda is one of the more recently discovered Kuiper Belt objects. And so she's in the same basic orbit, out with Pluto. And she, in mythology, she's actually written about by Tolkien in this book called the Silmarillion, which I have started to read because I love Varda so much. And she is the wife of Manwë in this Tolkien novel. And Manwë and Varda, I mean, again, on a really basic level, they are the couple, the main leader couple in this Tolkien world. But they're very magical, and Manwë is essentially like well, he's the masculine leader who he's like a creator being, and Varda also is like a creator being, but a being of light. So I'm actually going to read to you. I will explain to you in a second why. Here you can see me. Why these archetypes are speaking to me so strongly in this particular chart, and actually also in the new moon coming up in Leo in the middle of August too. So I'll explain the astrology in one second, but first I just want to give you a sense of Varda and Manwë a little bit too. So I'm reading from Tolkien's novel, which was published after he died by his son. And again, the Silmarillion. Okay, so on page 26, it says, with Manwë dwells Varda, lady of the stars, who knows all regions of Ea, which I think is, I'm not an expert in this Tolkien world at all, so you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Ea means essentially earth, or their land, their land where they live. Too great is her beauty to be declared in the words of men or of elves, for the light of Ilúvatar lives still in her face. The light is her power and her joy. The light is her power and her joy. That sentence is like, wow. So again, I'm just repeating this because I even want to let this sink in for me. So Varda is the lady of the stars, and the light is her power and her joy. Super beautiful. Out of the deeps of Ea, she came to the aid of Manwë. And then it's talking about Melkor, who is like the evil person in this novel. For Melkor, she knew from before the making of the music and rejected him. And he hated her and feared her more than all others whom Eru made. Manwë and Varda are seldom parted, and they remain in Valinor. Their halls are above the everlasting snow upon Oilosi, the uttermost tower of the tallest of all the mountains upon earth. When Manwë there ascends his throne and looks forth, if Varda is beside him, this is really key. I love this part. When Manwë there ascends his throne and looks forth, if Varda is beside him, he sees further than all other eyes, through mist and through darkness, and over the leagues of the sea. And part two, I love this part too. And if Manwë is with her, Varda hears more clearly than all other ears the sound of voices that cry from east to west, from the hills and the valleys, and from the dark places that Melkor has made upon earth. Of all the great ones who dwell in this world, the elves hold Varda in most in reverence and love. Elbereth they name her, and they call upon her name out of the shadows of Middle-earth and uplift it in song at the rising of the stars. So I just want to go back and to sit with that again a little more. So Varda, Lady of Stars, this being of light. When she is with Manwë, her partner, Manwë is able to see through all things, basically, because that's one of Varda's gifts, is seeing. And when Manwë is with Varda, Varda can hear. So Manwë is this creator being who has this incredible ability to hear. And Varda is this being of the stars and of light with this, really incredible ability to see. So the two of them together are as a creator couple, essentially, with the ability to help each other to see and hear, right? And anyway, there's so many layers to all of that. We could go down many roads with that. And actually, if you haven't seen the video that I did with Kelly Hunter for the Rebecoming the One symposium, it's available on my YouTube channel and also in Rebecoming the One. We talk about her, cosmic couples and her work with various archetypes, including Manwë and Varda. And I loved that conversation. So if you haven't watched that video, definitely do that. Super beautiful conversation. Yeah, but I want to sit with that again for another minute. So Varda is this beautiful being of light and of the stars with this ability to see through all things. And then her partner, Manwë, is a creator being with the ability to hear. I feel like there's just so many layers there that I haven't even processed yet, but just naming it. And again, maybe things will percolate for you that you can share with us. And it's a joint effort of, remembering all of these beautiful energies. Okay. So now to come to the astrology, back to the astrology, and I will explain why that speaks to me so strongly right now. In addition to the fact that I just love it. Okay, so Varda, like I said, is unfortunately not on Astrogold, but Varda moves very, 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 very slowly, and is currently sitting basically on the galactic center, or very near the galactic center. She's at 25 of Sagittarius, which is over here-ish. So the reason that matters to me and matters in this chart is that when Venus goes retrograde this Saturday, July 22nd, it will be going retrograde at 28 of Leo, which is trining the galactic center and essentially trining Varda, because Varda is sitting on the galactic center here, and also trining the north node of the moon. 20, well, right now it's at 29 Aries, but by the time of this full moon, it will be at 28 of Aries. So there's this grand Earth trine between Venus, Varda, and, the galactic center and the north node. So incredibly beautiful. Wow. Okay, so what do I feel in all of that? I feel Chariklo sitting here with the moon, holding that beautiful healing, just presence, right? And then I feel Varda, this magical being of light and of the stars, and, with this incredible ability to see through all things, in a grand trine with Venus, who will have just gone retrograde, and the north node. And just to note also, Manwë, the partner of Varda, the one who can hear through all things, he is actually sitting at 1 degree of Aries. And again, also moves very, very slowly. So he's, pretty much the beginning degree of our zodiac. And he's a creator being. That's really fascinating to me. So, okay, I'm going to put this all together. Okay. So what I'm feeling in the energetics right now is that, we have Pluto again going retrograde, squaring the nodes of the moon, and Pluto is in Capricorn. We have that Chiron going retrograde. It's this time right now of, on one level of us really having this old stuff, this old karmic stuff dredged up. And why? Well, in theory, it's so that we can then move toward creating this new earth, like being part of the creation, the birth of this new way of being that we're all here to be holding space for. That's true for me. And I think if you're listening to this video, it's probably true for you, and each in our own ways. So, like I said, those energies can be feeling pretty difficult. And at the same time, it's like, okay, so then we look for the helpers. Well, one of those helpers absolutely is Chariklo. I mean, I would say that actually in their own ways, everything is a helper. Everything is an ally. You have so many allies of all kinds. Okay, so I'm just highlighting particular ones and naming how they are allies, but everything is. The moon is, the earth is, the sun is, everything is. Okay, but Chariklo is a particularly highlighted ally in this time. And then I feel Varda also is incredibly beautiful, high vibrational, deep earth-based also, beautiful ally sitting on the galactic center, like the galactic center is the center of our galaxy. And when something is conjunct the galactic center, for me, it's like, it's just it's channeling it's channeling source energy, essentially. So it's like whatever's coming through there is just beautifully pure, straight from source, in a sense. And okay, and then so what I also want to say about this full moon energy is that one of the things I feel these allies doing for us in this time is that when we have this full moon in Aquarius, one of the energetics I feel in that is that it is highlighting, it's a full moon, so it's being highlighted by the sun, which will be in Leo. The sun in Leo will be shining on the full moon in Aquarius. So on any full moon, there's this sense to me of, that the energy of that full moon being really, really highlighted, and yeah, like a light is literally being shown on it, because that's what's happening. So when the light is being shined on the moon in Aquarius, I'm feeling also how all aspects of that Aquarian energy are being highlighted. And we just had Pluto move, a teeny tiny bit into Aquarius, and then back, it went retrograde and now is retrograde in Capricorn, like I've already talked about. But it's going to eventually go back into Aquarius. It will peak back into Aquarius in a few months, and then it'll go back into Capricorn one more time, and then it'll really go into Aquarius. So when we have a lunation, like this full moon in Aquarius, to me, it's part of what that energetic is like, again, reminding us, like, here's Aquarian energy. Let's allow, all the gifts and all the shadow both to arise around this Aquarian energy. So it's like feels like even a preparation for Pluto moving into Aquarius, and that's part of the beauty of, I would say, Pluto, it typically will pass over one spot 5 times. It spends, because of how slow it moves, its retrograde actually goes back and forth over a spot much more than most other planets do. And so it gives us a lot of time. Pluto has to do with soul, like the deep soul evolution. And our soul needs time to change, needs a lot of time to integrate things. So, you know, if Pluto is a reflection or a representation of our deep soul journey and our soul evolution, it's giving us time to integrate, to go back into Capricorn and then forward into Aquarius and then back into Capricorn again and then forward into Aquarius. And so the full moon in Aquarius also is giving us this chance of feeling, okay, yeah, like, yes, we are moving into the quote unquote age of Aquarius. We are moving into not super far in the future, about a year, year and a half-ish from now, Pluto will be fully moving into Aquarius. And so that's going to really highlight this Aquarian energy for all of us. For 20 years, Pluto will be in Aquarius. But in the meantime, it's like our systems have this opportunity to adjust to that energy and, on a more slow level, feel into, well, how do we want to do this? What does work for us in this Aquarian energy, and what do we maybe need to let go of or adjust ourselves around, and all of that. And Chariklo being, going retrograde in Aquarius is that healing presence, holding space as we have this Aquarian energy highlighted like that on this full moon, for example, but just in general in this time, because Chariklo is a Centaur and also moves relatively slowly, not as slowly as Pluto, but relatively slowly-ish, 60 something years, 62 years, 64 years, something like that, is the length of Chariklo's orbit. So yeah, so I'll just name briefly, some of the themes that I feel that come up in that Aquarian energy. And on the full moon, we have the moon in Aquarius, or whatever sign the moon happens to be in. But then, of course, what that also means is that the sun is in the opposite sign. So a full moon is really actually a dance of polarities, and it's an energy of that polarity and also of the integration of the polarity. So the Leo, when the moon is in Aquarius, then, if a full moon is in Aquarius, then the sun is in Leo. So it's really also about the Leo Aquarian dance. And one of the things that feels really key in all of this is that as we're moving into Pluto being in Aquarius and the quote unquote age of Aquarius, is that it's not just that Aquarius gets highlighted, it's actually Leo gets highlighted too, because the Pluto polarity point becomes Leo. And the Pluto polarity point is anything, whatever happens to be opposite Pluto. And it's really what our soul, it's like an energetic that can help our soul balance whatever the transformation that's happening where Pluto happens to be. So what's really coming up for us, it's going to be highlighted at this full moon, but it's really also going to be highlighted as Pluto moves into Aquarius, is the dance between Aquarius and Leo, and other things too. But on a really basic level, there's this need, we all have this need, this Leo need to shine, to fully self-actualize, to be the creative life force of source that we are. And Venus going retrograde at 28 degrees of Leo, opposite, when it goes retrograde, it's going to be opposite Eros, is really highlighting, extra highlighting this Leo creative life force that's, wanting to just be who we are, like super juicy and sexual and sensual and alive, like alive in every part of our being, all of who we are, in our bodies, in ourselves, in our spirit, in our heart. Like, again, like I said this in my last video, but like, it's like we're the tree of life, right? And it's like the life force, it just wants to move unhindered. Is that the right word? Yeah, like that we're meant to just flow as that creative life force energy, completely, totally, fully, always. So I said more about that actually in my last video on the new moon in Cancer, and feel free to go back and watch that, but I'm sure it'll come up because it's just a huge theme right now. So that's, you know, really alive in all these Leo energies. And then the polarity of that, the balance of that, is the Aquarian energy. And so one of the ways I feel Aquarius then balancing the Leo energy is that Aquarius has to do with the good of the community and the good of the whole. So when we're in that beautiful Leo energy of creative life force expression in its highest form, that energy is about us, you know, really, really fully being the perfect, beautiful manifestation of the divine that we each uniquely are. And then in the Aquarius, the Aquarian energy is about us then also doing that in a way that is good for the group, for the society, for more than just ourselves as individuals. And Aquarian energy also supports us to be okay being unique and different. So Leo energy is also, it can be about, you know, being unique, but it's not so much about being different. The Aquarian energy is that, you know, we're each also different expressions of the divine, perfect in our difference and our diversity. And a pain that can come up in that Aquarian Leo energy, especially specifically in the Aquarian energy, is a sense of being alienated, ostracized, traumatized. Trauma is absolutely, definitely can be associated with Aquarius, and Uranus, which rules Aquarius, that definitely can be there. So when there's a really strong emphasis on Aquarian energy, there can be a sense of being an outsider or being scared to be different, being having been hurt or having, you know, anyway, having trauma occurred because you were different, or because XYZ, you know, you seemed strange, or you feel weird, or you feel like not part of the group in some way. So those energies, I feel like on a full moon in Aquarius, but also as Pluto is doing this dance between Capricorn and Aquarius, though, all those are some of the things that could be coming up for us, especially as we're in this time where Pluto is going retrograde in Capricorn, squaring the nodes of the moon. And so there's a sense of deconstructing the old structures and the old ways of being. It can be a feeling of like, okay, well, yes, I want to, you know, I'm in support of this deconstruction of these structures, and yet creating the new and innovative thing, Aquarius, can feel really scary because first of all, it's new and innovative, and second of all, I don't want to be different. Like, I don't want that instinctive feeling in me, maybe from past lives or karmic things, that I've been different before, and that hasn't gone very well for, hasn't felt good for me. So then we have Chariklo sitting there in Aquarius with that full moon, holding that healing space and basically saying to us energetically, yes, I acknowledge that that's true, and I'm here. Like, it's okay. I'm just holding this unconditional healing space, and you can, you know, I'm here to help you feel safe, and like you can relax and be that beautiful unique being that is you, and to fully shine in that Leo energy, and then to come into your uniqueness and your diversity in community, in groups, and feel held and feel seen, and bring your unique gifts that of yourself as a being of the divine that is so needed on the planet in this time. Yes, and speaking of that, a lot of you have already signed up for the free gathering that I'm having on Wednesday, on August 2nd at 10 a.m. Pacific, but I actually made a second time because so many of you have signed up. And a lot of you are in Australia and parts of the world that will be sleeping at 10 a.m. Pacific time on Wednesday, August 2nd. So I made another time, which is Friday, where I am in California, it's Friday, August 4th at 6 p.m. Pacific. But for those of you in Australia, it's going to be Saturday morning, August 5th. And so I'll put the links for both of those gatherings with this video. You're welcome to sign up for one or both. And they'll be recorded, so you do not need to be there live, but I would love to have you there live. And the point of those gatherings, they're both essentially going to be the same thing, just obviously done twice, is really this. It's really what I'm just talking about. It's essentially this, in a sense, it's the Chariklo in Aquarius energy, now that I think of it. And August 2nd will be the day after this full moon. I didn't plan it that way, but that sure fits. It's like, wow. So the purpose of this gathering is that the spirit world is basically saying to me, we each are these ancient, wise wisdom keepers of the divine, each in our own ways. And they want me to hold space and channel a message and a guided experience for us each to come into ourselves and to remember that spark, that beautiful, perfect spark and light that is you as an ancient, wise healer being, whatever it is that you happen to be in this configuration of the divine that is you. And to really find that in yourself and to click with it. Or if you already have that relationship with yourself in that way, to just come into the next level of that, whatever that happens to be. Yeah, so that's the purpose of that gathering. And at that gathering, I'll also share about, all the different ways coming up that I have, that I'm also being called into in terms of supporting that in various ways, all the way from free to various levels of cost also. But the spirit world is asking me to hold these free gatherings. They're infinite soul wisdom initiation gatherings 4 times a year. I think that's what they're telling me, because they're saying so important, so crucial in this time that we each deeply remember the perfect, beautiful being, ancient wisdom keeper being that is you, that is me, that is each of us uniquely. It's so Leo-Aquarius. It's like amazingly perfect timing to be the day after the full moon in Aquarius, conjunct Chariklo. Wow. Yeah. Amazing. Okay. And actually, before that, if you're watching this video before Friday, July 21st, I'm also holding a Infinite Soul Wisdom gathering, not an Infinite Soul Wisdom initiation gathering. It's different, where I'm going to, that's free from everybody in my Infinite Soul Wisdom membership, which is $22 a month, or you can just drop in one time, but you're also welcome to join the membership even just for 1 month at a time, and come to that gathering. It's an hour and a half where I, again, channel a message and a guided healing meditation of some kind, whatever the spirit world wants to send through to help us navigate this very, very, very powerful, pivotal moment that we're all in. And I will also dive into the astrology more deeply than I have done in these free videos. And it's time also for sharing and questions and answers. And so you're very welcome to come to that. I hold those once a month. And those are not free, but they're very low cost. Again, $22 a month if you join the membership. Yeah, so that, just want to name that. Okay, and then very, very last, this is a longer video than usual, but then I also just want to really briefly touch on the new moon coming on August 16th and the full moon coming on August 30th. And again, I'm not completely clear why they want me to jump ahead to those, but they do. And so they're very insistent. So I will do that. And yeah, like I said, these are also really interesting. So let's take a look. All right. Okay. So on Wednesday, August 16th, 2:30 a.m. Pacific time, we have a new moon in Leo at 23:17 Leo. And this new moon will be conjunct Venus, which will be going retrograde. It'll be at 18 degrees of Leo because it will still be going retrograde. And the new moon also will highlight that same grand trine. Wow, my brain is getting tired. I think that's the right word. Yes, the grand trine between Varda at 25 of Sagittarius near the galactic center, the North Node at 26 of Aries by that point, and then the new moon will be at 23 of Leo. So again, it's highlighting that Varda energy, that whole, divine sexuality energy also, because Venus, which will be at 18 of Leo, will be exactly opposite Eros, because Eros and Venus are both going retrograde. And actually, Venus will also be opposite Hygeia, which will be at 16 of Aquarius. So I've said before in lots of other videos that Eros and Hygeia are in a dance with each other this whole year in Aquarius. And so there's this whole theme around healing our sexuality, healing our relationship to the Eros energy, the creative life force energy of just life itself, and then also our sacred sexuality. And that's just super, super extra highlighted on this new moon, because Venus will be exactly opposite, like within a few minutes opposite of Eros. And Venus is also opposite Eros when it goes retrograde on July 22nd, coming up this Saturday. But this new moon will be conjunct Venus and opposite Eros and Hygeia, etc. So it's, again, really highlighting this whole theme around creative life force energy. And again, in that grand trine with Varda and the North Node. So beautiful. Yeah, and I will drop in more deeply into all of that, in another video when I talk specifically about that new moon, but I just wanted to name that for whatever reason they're really wanting me to. Yeah, super beautiful. Oh, and yeah, and actually Jupiter will be squaring, close to squaring Venus and Hygeia. Anyway, yeah, there's other stuff going on there. So more to come when I talk about all of that in the next video. And then the very last thing I want to show you is the full moon in Pisces, also super fascinating. So at the end of August, a very busy August, on August 30th at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time, which means that actually this full moon will be on August 31st for those of you in most of the world, like in Europe and Australia and, most of the planet. This full moon will happen on August 31st. For those of us in the Americas, it will be on August 30th. But the full moon itself will be at 7 degrees of Pisces opposite the sun at 7 degrees of Virgo. So those of you who follow astrology relatively closely, does 7 degrees of Pisces ring any bells? It definitely does for me. So what's so interesting about this is this full moon will be conjunct Saturn. But Saturn just went retrograde at 7 degrees of Pisces. So for any of us who have planets in the first 7 degrees of Pisces, this full moon will be really highlighting, super highlighting, especially if you have anything around that 7 degree-ish mark of Pisces. Be really highlighting whatever is getting transited by Saturn in this time. Saturn went retrograde at 7 degrees of Pisces. It's going to go back to 0 degrees of Pisces, and it's going to go direct. So that whole 0 to 7 degrees of Pisces area is being aspected by Saturn right now. And this full moon is just going to be extra highlighting that. So yeah, again, more to come, but for whatever reason, I'm getting told to say that right now. Yeah, just really powerful and significant. Cool. Okay. I think that's everything. I'm just going to go really quickly back to that full moon in Aquarius that we have coming up on August 1st. And I was feeling like I needed to say something about Jupiter. Yes, this is what I needed to say. So actually the full moon and Chariklo on, August 1st will actually also be getting squared by Jupiter, especially Chariklo is in a square with Jupiter right now. And so it's just expanding all of the themes I already talked about with that full moon in Aquarius conjunct Chariklo, et cetera. And just as a side note, Jupiter will actually also be opposite the asteroid Psyche in Scorpio. And so that adds in for me an element of, really going deeply into our psyche, our transformation of our psychological being. And anyway, that is a whole other set of layer of things. But for any of you who follow Psyche, just to note that Psyche will actually be in a grand cross with Jupiter and the full moon and the sun and Chariklo. But I won't go down that road. Just name it for any of you who maybe want to hear that. Okay, I think that's everything. That was a lot. Yeah, I think the bottom line of what I'm wanting to say is that, this time is incredibly deeply transformational and can be, definitely not inevitable, but it definitely can be feeling painful. I'm feeling that myself. I feel it again in my heart. And that's really, to me, the Chiron going retrograde, but also the Pluto squaring the nodes. So those two things together, that's really intense. But then we have these beautiful allies, these cosmic allies and so many other allies, and even Pluto and Chiron are allies. They ultimately are, like, they're not here to do anything bad. It's really about Pluto, you know, helping us to release the stuff that we don't need anymore. And Chiron, the healer. Chiron is an incredibly beautiful healer, ourselves as a healer, as healers. And yeah, so there's that. And actually, one of the things I'm going to talk about when I do that free gathering on August 2nd and August 4th is that I'm feeling called also to hold a series, a monthly series, just over this fall and maybe into next January, on our spirit allies. So here I'm talking about cosmic allies, you know, allies in the cosmos. But another thing I'm feeling really called to talk about, which is again eerily perfect for a full moon in Aquarius, I did not plan that, is that we also have an incredible, like, infinite number of spirit allies and earth allies. And I've mentioned that in some of the recent videos, and a lot of you have expressed a lot of interest in that. So, you know, like I've talked about before, I have a really, really strong and complex, multi-layered relationship with many different kinds of beings, earth beings, cosmic beings, light beings. And I've channeled a lot of them in my books, Living the One Light, The Gaia Speaks, The Cosmos Speaks. But I haven't really talked about that relationship very much. And so what the spirit world is asking me to do essentially is to have one, I can feel that there are certain beings that I have these relationships with who want to come forward and essentially speak, and also then hold healing space for you, for all of us. And so there will be one being or sets of beings, like a type of being per month, starting in August, September, October, November, for sure. At least those 4 months, maybe December, and I don't know. I think it's just going to be those 4 months. Like one set of beings that's going to be like a spokesperson that month. And I'll say more about this at the free gathering on August 2nd and August 4th, but really how that's going to go is that I will do a video each month, like a pre-recorded video, where I talk about my own experience with that being or that type of being. And I maybe say whatever it is they want me to say in that pre-recorded video. And then, you know, each month I hold deep peace and healing circles. So for those 4 months, those deep peace and healing circles will essentially be led by that particular month's spirit ally. So for example, if there's a month that is being led by, let's say, the ocean beings, which I have a very strong relationship with here where I live near the ocean, really, really beautiful beings who've done a lot of healing for me, actually. Let's say they're leading that month, then I would make a video talking about my own experiences with those beings and whatever it is that I'm feeling them wanting me to say. And then when we do the deep peace and healing circle, which is live and recorded, I will channel them for you, and I will channel, you know, a message, but also an actual healing session for you, channeled by, let's say, the ocean beings or whatever, you know, whatever theme is alive that month. So that is coming up, and it's feeling really, and again, maybe it's related actually to this whole Aquarian energy, like us getting prepared for the Aquarian energy, is that I feel in this time also that it's like all of these beings are wanting to come back to the one, like we've been so separated from them, and there's a lot of grief in that. And for me and for them, I think for a lot of us, and coming back into the letting the veils essentially disappear, not fully, but become less and less and less needed, and to do that in a really reverential way, really honoring way of these beings and of ourselves and of life and of the earth and of the cosmos, of everything, to do it really, really carefully, which is why I feel like I need to do it in a really careful container, and for a set number of months. And with those of you who really want to be part of that reverential way of coming into remembering these beings and being held by them and coming back into like a friendship with them, essentially, and a oneness with them, that will be for you and for me and for, for those of us who feel really called to be there. So that will be starting in August, like later August. And again, I'll say more about that coming up and make that available for you to join if you're wanting to. It's going to be $66 a month, which will also include actually if you join that, you're also then automatically part of my Infinite Soul Wisdom membership. So you get 2 meetings a month, live and recorded. And then you get also my you'll get my pre-recorded video that goes along. Anyway, so it's 3 different things that you get in that. And I'll also make a different pricing if you, anyway. I'll say more, but that's the gist. Is it'll be about $66 a month for 4 months. And so if that calls to you, let me know. I would love to have you be part of it, of course. And beautiful. But in the meantime, if you haven't signed up for the free gathering, this Infinite Soul Wisdom Initiation Gathering, which is on August 2nd and August 4th, you can be at one or both, or just sign up for them. And I'll, if you can't be there live, I will send you the recording. Would love, 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 love to have as many of you there as possible. And I'm so loving the growing community of this community. And so many things I could say. I'm just really grateful for you all to be part of my life and part of this, doing this together. We're in this together. It's very Aquarian, very Aquarian. It's my honor and my pleasure to be on this journey with you. Truly, like truly. So thank you so, 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 so much. And be in touch anytime, livingtheonelight@gmail.com. And sending you all big hugs, especially if you're experiencing that pain or difficulty. And you're not alone. We're all in this together, and we're all here. The Chariklo energy is here. The Varda energy is here. The earth is here, and the cosmos are here. And we're all held. It's true. Okay. Big hugs to all of you. So much love. See you soon.